Welcome to Dr. Russ Air Rifle Adventures. Well, what you're looking at here on this rack is a Hatsan Speedfire. This is their break barrel rifle with the magazines in it. Allow you to shoot, I think, 8 or 10 pellets very fast. But believe it or not, this video today is not an adventure about this rifle. No, it's about a lot of other things, and I think it'll help you with whatever rifle you have. Nonetheless, I'd like to just start with a little bit of humor. I think in the last video I started sharing some comments, much like Art Linkletter used to get out of kids. Well, in this particular case, a school teacher really asked some questions, and these kids answered, and she's writing a book. But Robert, age 13, said, "Never pee on a fence unless you first make sure it's not an electric fence." That's a good idea. Emily, a girl, says, and she's 10, she said, "Don't pull on Dad's finger, even if he asks you to." My dad asked me once. And here's another girl who's 11, Talia. She says, "When your mom is mad at your dad, don't let her brush your hair." Well, I hope you found them as humorous as I did. Now, if you want the review on the Hatsan Speedfire, that's coming. It's just another day. And you're not going to get a review on this Bone Collector break barrel either, with the Swarm cartridge up here. So why this video? And we're going to be dealing with a lot of things that have nothing to do with these two guns, but they probably have something to do with your gun, the one you have at home. I just want to remind you, on this Bone Collector, we put a short scope on it, a really dandy scope, 3x9, 32 millimeter up here. And notice it's short enough that when we break the barrel, no issue happens here. It stays clear. This happens to be a really advanced scope. It has a red dot, and it could be a green dot too. And then it has a laser, and I think it's red and green also. Plus the scope, plus the crosshairs can be lit up in the early morning and late evening, which is when really the larger animals are moving. So I think this is about $100, and you get a 15% discount with the CV Life if you put on your order Russ 15. However, I think at this moment in time, they've got an 18% discount. I don't think you get both. I haven't asked that question of Jill Blake, my contact there, but 18% off of $100 would be about $82 for this scope with everything on it. But what if that's still out of your range? Well, we're going to be doing two mountings today. We're going to put just a laser, just a red dot. And we're going to do it here on this pistol, something called the Jet 2, because it has 2 air cartridges instead of 1. And it's going to be mounted here because I think with pistol, and I was a competitive pistol shot, and putting a scope on a handgun, it's like saying I'm going to shoot long distance with a short range weapon. Doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Short range targets with a pistol do make sense, and that's why I think maybe just that red dot. We'll put that on in a minute. But for the moment, we're going to be putting a different scope. This one right here. This is a 3x9x40. And it too has beautiful crosshairs. It has the adjustments, and it sits right here with no problem on that. So that's good. But let me just show you some scopes here on this table. Well, I get a lot of questions. Russ, where do you get your scopes? Well, let me tell you where I got them originally and what scope goes on air guns. This, if you can see it, there's a Viper 8x32 power, and it's about 60 objective lens here. This is like a $300 scope, and they went out of business, and this one steamed up inside. I'm going to tell you how you don't get them steamed up, but I'm just not going to throw it away. It's a beautiful thing, costs a lot of money. The rest of these don't. This happens to be a Humorx scope, and it's a 4x15. It came with that APX I have, and I'm sorry, I just don't like the scopes that they give away free. This happens to be the scope, a 3x9x40 that Hatson gives with the rifle behind me. But I don't like this one particularly. I do like this larger one, and you can kind of see here. They're both the same length, so that's good. I can get this scope for like $40-some, and that's the one we're going to be putting on. I think you can see right there what we're going to put on. And what I've done with some of my larger bore rifles is put this particular one on now, since that one went out of business. A 6x24x50. This is one heck of a scope. This is like $50-some. Keep in mind, you get 15% off of these if you remember how to spell my name. For years, I got a CP center point, and that comes from Crossman. And this one did. It didn't come quite from Crossman. This is a refurbished scope, and it's a great scope. It's refurbished. It cost me $50, maybe $60. And I was getting these refurbished from fieldsupply.com. Now, when do I still order from Field Supply, and when do I order from CB Life? By the way, neither one of them are paying anything for this video today. But if you have a Springer, if you remember, you use the artillery hold, very loose, kind of let the gun do what the gun does. Don't try to fight it, don't try to hold it firm. And this will create more uniformity in your shooting. But it does 2 jerks and $300 scopes, and I didn't put that on a Springer, can be destroyed when you put them on a Springer. You want a scope that's made for the airgun industry. And so I get these CPs refurbished when I'm going to put a scope on a Springer. When I'm going into a break barrel that has a piston in it, or a PCP, you don't need that special. You can use one of these sights right here and be just fine with it. It's not going to break it. So let's remember, Springers, you need a special scope made just for the air industry. And when you're into a piston gun or you're into a PCP, you can go with whatever scope you want. And I like these CB Life scopes because they're a great price, and they work and they keep on working, particularly in those guns. So let's just take a look and see some of the stuff I'm planning with this Hatson. First of all, as quiet as it can be down here at this end, a lot of noise comes back into this stock. I address it because take a look right over here. I get this foam here at a flea market in southeast Michigan because we have the automobile industry here. You may not. So what you may want to do is order some foam type with a sticky back and put it right here. I haven't wiped that with alcohol yet, so I'll put it on just a little bit later. But with your ear there, this noise that air guns make, and when you have your ear right up to it, it's like when I was a kid putting ear on a railroad track. Man, you can hear everything going on at that other end and the spring, but not if we have a little bit of insulation. Another thing that's of interest is manual sights. I don't like them. I had to use them in Vietnam. They work. There's no problem that way, but I love a scope. I love scope, particularly with competition. You will see somebody using manual sights. And so I take these manual sights off. It's usually just a screw or two, because I'm going to put on either a red dot on small guns or a scope on these larger ones. Now, if you're into competition, remember this. You've got to be good, or you're going to be way back in the pack. And you not only need to have the scope level, which I'll get to in a second, but you want to make sure that this gun is level at the same time. And that's done by one of these FZ shoot sights. You put this also up here, and now we really know, is this gun with the scope both level? Because you need level. Why? Again, if this is the barrel and this is a scope, and we're making adjustments left or right up here to scope, that's good when everything's level. But when it's cockeyed, and I'm doing it more so than I suspect you do it, just to let you know that now we're making adjustments here and not here or here as we wanted to. That's why I'm serious about my target shooting. I'm serious about hunting. I don't want wounded animals. They'll go up, try to get up their old tree or in an old tree, and the hawk gets them. That isn't any fun. That'd be like a lion getting you or me. So I don't like wounded animals. And then if it's not a hawk getting them, or an eagle or whatever you have in your area, tearing it apart because you didn't totally harvest that animal, it gets up in the attic, makes noise up there and pups, or it dies in the walls, if you know what I mean. So I want accuracy. Now often when you get a PCP air rifle, not every time, but often, you'll get a rail, a Picatinny rail, that's 20 millimeter. But when you get a break barrel or a Springer, you often get a 20, or rather an 11. And scopes that are set for 20 are not scopes that go with a smaller rail. And so this is a conversion piece. I used to have to go to eBay to get these. You now can get them from CV Life and get that discount too. This conversion has a pin there. When your scope has a pin and it's rocking, you'll usually find that on Springers. So just twisting it with the included Allen wrench, and you can take this off. And once you screw this in, and this is around 12 bucks or so, now you can put what I call a real scope onto the gun, because this happens to be the 20 rail, and what was down here was an 11. And you'll need this conversion piece. And again, you go to eBay, you can also get it at CV Life and get the discount. Another thing is on the scope, once we get the rifle level, we want the scope level. And another thing you get from CV Life, you can get it from a variety of, you can go to a gun store and pay a lot of money. I've been just gluing these on, because I got a batch of them. But CV Life does this, and this is a much better leveler than I've been using. And you need to realize here that scopes don't have the same tubes. Typically, US scopes have a 1-inch tube or a 30mm tube. 1 inch or 30. CV Life makes this. There's some scopes in Europe that are like 33 or 34mm. So I'm going to put the right scope, the right balancer on the right scope, and you need to do the same. I can't remember the price of this. It's manageable. But if you want accuracy, if it's at the top of your deal breaker list, it's on the top of mine. You want a level scope and you want a level rifle. Okay, also, because Hatson and Crossman were a little late to the party for these easy loaders mags, when Gammo gave the rights to Crossman and Hatson, they gave them the rights of Generation 1, which was a high rack, and these pellets are vertical, versus their newest Gen 2, Gen 3, which allows that magazine to lay flat. That doesn't mean it's a better rifle, it just means it's higher up. And we often want scopes that are higher up. And this comes with CV Life. Notice that space. So we call that a see-through mount. You can look through there and still use your iron sights if you've left them on. I'm leaving them on this gun. And then your scope will be above it. Now notice this, if we've got a barrel here and we've got a scope up higher, a lot of people say, boy, that's a lot of reckoning to do. With air guns, no. You see, powder guns, that'd probably be a bit of a problem because they can shoot over a mile. Air guns are lucky to get out about 700 yards, and that's aiming like that. So the point is the trajectory of air pellets, air slugs, is more like this than a powder rifle, which is like that. And a lot of your shooting is 30 to 50, 60. I shoot out 100 yards on occasion. And so these high mounts just accommodate that better. So I like high mounts on an air gun. Now, before you leave too early, you haven't found out about why I take a piece of toilet tissue like this, and it's not to wipe my butt, okay? It's for something else just as important. Let's take a look at what we got on this year. We got this scope mounted, and Dr. Paula, if you would just show all three of these levels, you'll find out that this Hatson air rifle here is level all the way through. The gun's level, the scope's level, and I'm ready for any competition, whatever in this. I've also applied this cushion to insulate me from noise, etc., etc. This and this piece, the FS chute, they came out of this bag, but I'll get that part number to you. I think the air rifle came with 2 mags. Now when you mount scopes, when you are definitely mounting on a Springer, and probably on a break barrel too, you want to be able to put Loctite in. And notice here the difference. One's permanent Loctite and one is removable. And so it's very important. I like to use the removable my best. We were able to put the laser here, and just another one here from CV Life. Here's one, a red dot without the laser on it. They have them in all different price categories, etc., etc. But now this gun is ready for some easy shooting. Over here, real quick, I got a back that I didn't even ask for this. It was sent to me. It's from CV Life. You know, denier is how they measure Levi's and nylon products that are well done. This is a well done pack, and I'm always welcoming a pack. This is big, but you want to take a laser with you, and one for your wife or partner. And because while I know every range here in my backyard, and you should too, making this obsolete, it's not obsolete when you go into a strange area hunting. We'll be down in Florida shortly for some wild hogs and some iguana, and I'm hoping some python. Also in the pack, let me show you something. I don't go into the field, and it's a pretty beat up package here, but this is something I brought out of the Army with me 50 years ago. They actually still sell them in Army surplus stores. It looks much like, forgive me for a moment, it looks much like a Kotex. And I can't even tell you the number of people that we put these on during our firefights with the Viet Cong. And it stopped the bleeding, and it got them in a helicopter, and it got them back to a MASH tent for repair. So I keep that. If you don't have it, go in the drugstore and get some Kotex. Very similar. Straps to wrap it on. I also carry a first aid kit. You see, in all of my practices, I've actually seen two men shot. One in the low calf and one in the higher calf, pulling out guns at gun ranges. And you got to stop that bleeding right now, and big bandages work. You should have a first aid kit. This is looking pretty beat up here, if you will, but smaller band-aids for all the little cuts and whatever. I had a person whose slide on the top of their automatic came back and cut the top of their hand, and we really had to work to get that done. If you're outdoors and the wind, you'll probably need some chapstick on your lips and nasal. You'll be out there with flowers and bugs and insects and all kinds of ragweed. And I gotta tell you, if you cough outside, every wild animal out there within 100 yards heard you, and they know there's only one type of enemy out there that could be, and that's you. Somewhere here I had that toilet tissue. Let me tell you about this. Get the toilet tissue about this big and wrap it with duct tape, including one end. Now, measure these two sounds. You see how it got muffled? That's what the toilet paper. Oh, and if you had to use it, well, you can use it for that too. A good survival kit goes in. You just never know what can happen out there. Vehicles break down. All going into this. Now, take a look at these air gun. I think I showed that to you, the pistol. Let me show you one other thing before you take off. One thing I wanted to show you was this CV Life website, cvlife.com. You can get 15% off any day of the week if you put Russ 15 on any order. But right now they've got some 18% off if it's a big order, 15 or 10 if it's a smaller. I don't know if they'll do the double discount. I just haven't asked, but you should ask. Notice that they really specialize in rifle scopes, some sails, optic sights, all types of products. But let's just take a look here at some of the things. I'm all set on these bipods, but you may not be. You may want to get something in here. This is a real nice setup here. I know Caldwell sells them and they're very, very expensive. They're not $41. And here's a tripod stand up 360 degrees for $69 minus the sale prices. And then here's some smaller ones. Let's see what else that I can find here for you. all types of gunslings. If you have something that looks like an M4, M16, AR-15, you'll probably want this type of scope. If you've got a break barrel, you might just want this one because it goes right around that barrel. And then they have the traditional slings too, somewhere in here. Of course, there's a sling there for $14 minus the discount. They've got all kinds of setups. Keep in mind, they've been in business a long time for powder guns, and I'm kind of moving them into a new market of air guns. Here's another sling with nothing on it for $14. Let's see what else. These scopes that you saw earlier today. Here is for only $36. This is 3x9x40. That's what we actually mounted today on that Hatson brake barrels. You'll notice these are smaller, shorter. Again, you can get one with all the bells and whistles here. If you have a brake barrel, then we can get into some of these longer scopes. And I've got 2 or 3, so they all where you need a spotting scope. All of these. And now here's what I put onto that Bonin, Bonin, what do they call it? Bonin something. Scope, rifle. I put this, the triple on it, and it worked out, bone collector, that worked out just right. Certainly some great binoculars out there. You've got to have good binoculars because your eyes will grow weary. Another thing for your backpack is probably some eye drops. But if you don't have some good scopes, and I can tell you these scopes here, that scope probably sells for about $200 with a brand name on it. But they're only $100 here, minus your discount. Here's one of these single optics. I don't have one, but a lot of people do use them now. And when it came to accessories, I found that I was very happy. Well, where is it? I found it very happy when we had the unit that allows you to looks like it's almost on it right there. So you can use it for an 11 millimeter Picatinny rail, or most everything goes on the larger one, the mounts. So you'll probably want that, and it is in here somewhere. I just don't recall where it's at, but it is here, and you might want to check out CB Life. They're not paying me anything. This is just a great place I get my stuff at now. Who knows where I'll be getting it next year, but these prices and this quality seem to be just perfect. I hope you enjoyed today's video. It was not about the guns you saw, it was about mounting the right optics on them. If you thought it had some value, give me a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed already, subscribe. Let me also ask you to leave any comment, questions. I'm sure I left a few. I'll be glad to answer them. Do me a favor. We're going to be hunting here soon. We're going to come out of southeast Michigan on 75 down to Knoxville. We're going to hit Arkansas. We're going to hit Florida, Georgia, North Carolina, Florida, by the way, Georgia, North Carolina, South Carolina, and home. If you live somewhere near those freeways that we're going to be on, let me know. We'd like to stop and do a video on you and your passion for air guns. It may not be the same guns I have, may not be the same backyard. That's okay. One other thing. For 3.5 years, my beautiful wife tells me, we've been losing $700 or $800 a month. I'm retired. I have money in the bank. I'm not worried about it. She is. One of the ways I get paid is when YouTube sees those commercials, those lousy commercials on our videos, and when they see people watch them, bingo, I make like a nickel a piece. But it can be $200 or $300 by the end of the month because we have 112 videos out there. Do not me a favor, do her a favor. Turn it on, go eat dinner, let it play, put it on one of our channels, and let some of those play through. You'll be doing Dr. Paul a favor. Other than that, I look forward to the next one.